part of this conference that we were able to hold here was a result of the fact that we got really support from the workers of Iowa. And this Labor Council in Iowa was key in making this thing happen. And I think that really it shows solidarity all over this country. And one of the proposals possibly we're going to act on is to have another conference in Iowa at their labor temple.
Yeah.
Because they have the same problems in Iowa that they have here in East Palestine. So maybe, and Penny Logston is the chapter president of her local. She's with Painters Union, and she's a tireless fighter for human rights and justice. Welcome, Penny.
Oh my gosh, we are so honored to be here. I kid you not.
Will you quiet down, please? We got guest speakers from Iowa. We want to hear what they got to say. Thank you.
First of all, this is really all about you. Solidarity is about all of us. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm sorry for the reason, but we are very proud to stand up with our brothers and sisters and all of our allies. If you truly believe in solidarity, I really, really believe we can achieve anything. And it has been proven over and over again by our forefathers and what they went through. And, you know, it wasn't all bad. You know, you always think it's bad. It's been wonderful, too. And we would not have been here without them. We're very, very excited. And like I said, we didn't do this ourselves. We were very fortunate that Jeff Kurtz had taken the time that he gave. And this is the way so many opportunities have came forth to the Lee County Labor Chapters. It's been the work that our members have done outside of our chapter that has brought opportunities to us. Now, I will be honest with you, I'm going to brag a little bit. Our labor chapter, when someone brings something to the table, never have I heard, oh my gosh, you know, how are we going to do that? No one will show up. It is always, and I swear, this is the way it is. Okay, what do we need to do to make it happen? What do we need to do to make it happen? And that is honestly the way our labor chapter runs. And so we're very, very honored to be here. And I'm just going to put something personal in here. You know, we would not be here if it wasn't for the residents and victims that stood up. You know, I want you to know how proud I am of all of you who stood up. And organized and organized and organized more. And continue to share with the Norfolk Southern freight train. I'm sorry, derailment did to you. Did to your citizens, the community, surrounding 20-mile area, and all the workers, before and after the derailment. To me, it's no different than the person that steps up and grieves. You know, if you don't grieve when you need to grieve, your whole world suffers for that. Your brothers and sisters. So I just wanted to let you know how proud I am that you did that. On January 4th, 2024, during the Lee County Labor Chapter meeting, when Brother Jeff Kurtz brought the opportunity to collaborate with Steve Zeltzer and Chris Albright to organize a national campaign with goals of bringing the story and struggles of the residents and workers of East Palestine, Ohio, to the attention of all union members, all allies across the nation, to demand health care for our union brothers and sisters, their families, and victims we were all in. On February 3rd, 2023, at 8:55 p.m., a Norfolk Southern freight train pulling more than 150 cars derailed, including 38 tanker cars carrying vinyl chloride, a known cancer-causing chemical. February 4th, 2023, After the catastrophic derailment, responders conducted a controlled burn, which released hydrogen chloride and phosgene into the air. Phosgene is a colorless gas. Exposure may cause irritation to the eyes, dry burning throat, vomiting, cough, foamy sputum, breathing difficulties, and chest pain. It is especially dangerous to those little lungs. Sunday, February 5th, 2023, there was a mandatory evacuation, warning residents of a potential for toxic gas release. Residents were told, "Leave now. If you don't, we are not coming back for you." Monday, February 6, 2023, after the catastrophic derailment, responders conducted a controlled burn, which released hydrogen chloride into the air. Omaha, Nebraska AP reported NORFOLK Southern's costs related to the East Palestine derailment have grown to nearly $1 billion, and its insurance companies have started to pay their share of the cost of the crash in eastern Ohio. The Atlantic-based railroad reported third quarter profits of $478 million. Without the derailment costs, they said, the third quarter profits would have been $601 million. 6 months later, Congress is deadlocked on new rules of safety. February 3rd, 2024, on the first anniversary of the catastrophic derailment, the newly formed Justice for East Palestine Residents and Workers campaign hosted a Zoom panel, including the Iowa Federation of Labor President Charlie Wishman, who spoke about workers' safety is community safety. It is incredible that it has been a full year since the NORFOLK Southern freight train derailment, and the residents and workers are still struggling and left with many unanswered issues, including lack of accessible and funded mental health and physical coverage. Think about it. How long has it been since you have seen or heard anything during the news regarding the NORFOLK Southern freight train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio? Unless you have listened to Max Alvarez's Real News, or Steve Zeltzer on Work Week or Pacifica. Stand up. You probably hadn't heard anything if it wasn't for them. Today we are letting our brothers and sisters know, their families in East Palestine, the residents, workers, and all victims know that they are not alone nor forgotten. Today, union brothers and sisters, filmmakers, musicians, political cartoonists, Toxic Free Future, podcast producers, journalists, environmentalists, Nuclear Works for Justice, Alliance for Retired Americans, all citizens and allies across this nation stand united in solidarity with you and demand access to and medical funded health care for all victims of this catastrophic NORFOLK Southern freight train derailment in East Palestine. Stand up and yell! These are our people, and we will not quit until all victims are made whole. We are going to stand in solidarity for you, and I cannot wait to share. Actually, I want to thank someone else too. Steve Zeltzer has been absolutely incredible. If it wasn't for him, we would not be here today. Amen. You are beyond commendable.
A true brother.
Truly, absolutely. And he brought the solution to the table, which brought this all together so much quicker. And so thank you so much. And then we have Chris Albright. We want to thank him.
Behind you.
Chris has been phenomenal throughout all of this, and I know a lot of you have too. But if it wasn't for Steve and Chris, we wouldn't be here today, honestly. I just can't tell you enough that you are not alone. And this is what union does.
Yeah.
We see the problem, we educate people, and we bring the solution, and that's what we're going to do today. Thank you.
Well, thank you, brothers and sisters. I had to write everything down because we started out at 11 o'clock, and I'm not really good when I'm totally rested, so what are you laughing at? So I have to organize my thoughts here a little bit. I'd like to start off thanking the hosts of this event, the residents of East Palestine. I love doing this kind of stuff because of the fact that you meet such nice people. I mean, you meet people that are different than you, but are a different nice than you. And it's just really a lot of fun for me. And thank you for letting us come into your community and help you right some of the wrongs that have been done to you. There's not that much of a difference between East Palestine and a small town in Iowa that we come from. I've lived most of my life back in Fort Madison, Iowa. In fact, back in November of 2021, we had a derailment on the Mississippi River about 10 miles south of us in an even smaller town called Montrose, Iowa. I think it's got 1,000, 1,500 residents, something like that. And it was caused, if you can believe it, by a train barge collision. Anybody that has any questions about that, I'll explain that later. But we were very lucky because that train was a coal train and didn't have hazardous materials. So the contents that went into the river were relatively easy to clean up. But that derailment could have been much worse because hazardous materials do run on that line. As with the derailment here, the whole problem was pretty complex, but the major parts of that problem are pretty easy to take care of quickly. So with the help of our sheriff back home and a couple of union brothers, we got the information on the derailment, and we took our case to the Capitol in Des Moines, where we met with the transportation committees, representatives from the House and Senate side. So working together, we composed a letter, and I've got that here if anybody wants to see it. And we use that as a basis for a solution to a problem. And believe it or not, this train barge stuff had been plaguing us for 14 years. So we made everything work because of cooperation from everybody involved. And the desire to protect people living along the right-of-way, and the desire to ensure that something like that would never happen again. So I thought about this when we did look back in relation to the problems that we're facing now. The issues with the situation are more numerous here because of the severity of the derailment and the nature of the spill. But the methods needed to come to a solution is pretty much essentially the same. The problem as a whole is pretty complex, but the major parts of it are pretty simple to handle. I mean, we handle those, and then we can take our time with the other parts of that problem. Right now, for the safety and well-being of the community, because of what you've been exposed to, healthcare should be the #1 priority so that any ill effects to your health from what you've been exposed to can be headed off before they become too serious. There are several different mechanisms to do that. On the federal level, we've got legislation that can be utilized to get you health care that nobody's doing anything about. On the state level, there are 2 states right now, Connecticut and Arizona, that are trying to wipe out medical debt for their constituents. Now, If those states can afford to do something that is as expensive as wiping out medical debt for the whole state, then the state of Ohio can provide health care for the citizens of East Palestine. Especially after this catastrophe, when they can eventually recover the costs from the NORFOLK Southern. In the rail industry, we refer to the NS as Nazi Southern, so that gives you a clue to what people think of them. Okay, now there are those with a different agenda than ours that are going to try to make everything complicated and throw in all kinds of other issues so it looks like things are much more difficult to do than they really are. And by God, they're fighting hard for you against the other side. And the other side's fighting hard for you against that side. And it just goes back and forth. But if you listen to these people, they're saying the same thing. They're just saying it in a different tone. You've got to listen to what they say and not how they say it. So that's where the people of this conference comes in. There are enough of us on all sides of the political spectrum to hold everyone accountable. We can hold the state and we can hold the federal people accountable and get some things done like health care for you guys. If the people that would normally be aligned with us try to blame the other side, then we need to let them know that there are things that they could do if they were sufficiently motivated to do so that the pain and suffering people are going through right now wouldn't be nearly as bad as it is. I recently contacted my friend, Nikki, because one thing I've learned throughout my life is I don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but I better know where and who the smartest people are. And Nikki's always going to be one of the smartest people. No, I'm just kidding. She directed me towards some materials dealing with how we can cooperate with people and accomplish goals. I'm convinced that if we put aside differences and work toward common goals, the most important at this time would be health care for East Palestine, that we can accomplish those goals. As one of my former bosses used to tell me, and you got to imagine this in a Boston accent because he was from Boston, Kurtz, if nothing else, get a bite of the apple and quit trying to swallow it whole. Health care for the residents is that first bite of the apple. Thank you for inviting us, and let's not hear any more flowery speeches or pretty words. Let's get our hands dirty and do the work.
Oh, that's the way to put me behind the microphone on that one. Hey, brothers and sisters, I'm Sister Duncan. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. Unfortunately, and you hosting this wonderful, event for us to have. Unfortunately, for the reason, bad. And as we all know, the train tracks are scattered everywhere throughout the United States, right? We're connected. We're sick and tired, damn sick and tired of them dividing the people in this country. They have suppressed other groups that have tried to do something when there's been issues. Us getting here today, we want to bring you some hope and some faith that something will be done. It's time for this country to turn around. And we're ready to do that. Because you know what? When it's all said and done at the end of the day, we're all one, right? Yeah, right. We have a common bond right now. A common bond to do something. To hold our elected leadership in this country accountable for their actions to their people in the United States of America. Today, when this all started at our Lee County Labor Chapter meeting, Brother Kurtz mentioned his connections with everybody. And we said, well, what do you think we ought to do? Well, we ought to go there. Yeah. Here we are. And through hell and high water, we came here to get to you today, and even a broken belt on a bus. If it could happen, you know? It will happen, Murphy's Law. And sitting on that bus gave me a lot to think about. Nothing great was ever accomplished without obstacles. And all of you sitting in this room today, how many times have them roadblocks been up?
Every day.
That's right. Well, it's damn time that them roadblocks are set aside, because we're going to come together today, as we have, and we're going to change. We're going to bring about change in this country. Absolutely. And they're going to start listening, because we're going to gather in numbers. And when they see the numbers, they're going to be like, these people are really serious. And they're going to be, they're going to know that you're tired of being suppressed. Okay? Time to move forward. You need health care. We have people in this country who need health care. What the hell is so hard about that? You know? It should be on the #1 priority list. And especially for people that are suffering from these mass casualties. How hard is it to declare this a mass casualty? A year later, you haven't done anything about it? I know, Vina, I've read some of these things. Years doing this?
They're almost 40.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo. You get in the fight, sister. In the fight. Never giving up. We live in this, the great United States of America, right? I don't know about you, but I love this country, right? We all love this country. But the people of the country must come first. So it's time to take a new direction. To put the people first.
Absolutely.
The spark that leads to a flame of solidarity has begun for the people in this great country, of whom have been sequestered into silence, forged into the great pits of forgottenness, shall from this day forward be no more.
Yes.
Right, brothers and sisters? So like they talked about, we have a resolution. There's going to be something to follow. So many times, things get off to the side. They don't get addressed. Thanks to that brother right over there in the end, that's Steve. Getting the resolution, Max, spreading the real deal news. I've had so many workers at work lately. I work at an ammunition facility for 16 years. And they're like, what's the real news? I said, here. I handed them the thing and I said, tune into this. So, yeah, that's the real news. And Brother Chris coming out to Iowa, you know, was wonderful too. Thanks for getting this all together today. Mike, music we know motivates us, right? That song brought tears of joy to our eyes and tears of sadness. Time to end the sadness. That song motivated us. We thank you for your God-gifted talent to do that. Steve Mellon, that you were there, I recognize some of you on Zoom. You've all been great on these Zoom calls. This is something that we've lived for many years. And you know what? How many of you have kids at home, right? Yeah. How do you want to leave this country for them kids? Well, guess what? We're responsible for that. And as of today, we're going to hold these damn people to do what is right and get health care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we are going to have a panel on the media, and we can have questions. But one of the things that we have to do is get this story out. That's why we have this meeting today, to get the voices of the people of East Palestine out to know what the hell's going on. So we're going to have a short panel of journalists, and then we have some proposed resolutions which we're going to come up with. Because out of this has to come action. Only our collective action can change this situation. And we can win. We can force Biden to make this declaration if we get enough power going in the working class, in the unions. If we go to every union in this country, every national convention, you have to address this. If you can't help the people of East Palestine, who the hell can you help?
That's right, that's right.
Who the hell can you help? That's what I want to know. That's what we have to say to the leadership of our unions. You got to put into action, you got to put your body and our labor movement to act for our brothers and sisters, because acting for them is acting for all of us. No human being should be without health care. All workers in this country, all people should have health care. That's what we're fighting for. It's a human right, and that's what we're going to get. They're running for office. All these politicians are running for office. Okay, well, get health care for East Palestine. Can you do that? Can you do that? Is that too radical? To help the people of East Palestine with health care? Think about this. Is that too radical? But most people in this country, because of the corporate media, are unaware of the fact that they don't have health care. Again, that's our responsibility. So, I don't know, what do people think? Should we have another, this media panel? Do you want to have that, or should we just talk about what we're going to do?
I think we should have both, don't you? Do we have time?
Honestly, yeah, like I think, like you said, the most important thing is that we come out of this with action items. So I'm willing to see my fucking time or media time. Like, let's talk about what we do.
Okay, well, so we have some proposed resolutions that our organizing committee has come up with. We can talk about those, and then also if people here have suggestions, they have thoughts what to do, let's make this a collective process. We're all in this together. Ideas don't come from one place, they come from all of us. So we'll get those, if we have copies of those proposed resolutions, let's propose them and talk about what we can do.
Yeah, so like, no one needs to hear from the media right now, right? Like, you guys are doing the work. Our job is to make sure other people know about it, right? This is not about me. This is not about any of us. Like, same thing with Steve Nellen, right? Like, we keep coming back because I don't think you can be human and listen to what our brothers and sisters and neighbors are going through here and just say, good luck with that. I'm going to go on with my life. There's no way you can do that and have a heart. And so I want to impress upon people just like a few things. And then I think that we should spend the last half hour talking about what we can do here in our communities, how we take this message back and turn it into something. How many more people from our communities can we get involved in this movement now? You heard the residents. They can't wait. They've been waiting over a year. They're waiting on us to help. So time is of the essence. We're all feeling the solidarity, we're all feeling good, but we need to take that feeling and turn it into urgent action wherever we go back to tomorrow, right? Do it for the people here. Do it for Chris's kids. Do it for yourself. Because as we've said, this could be any one of us. And that's what I just want to impress upon people. I don't need to get on a panel and talk. I got into this because I interview working people for a living. That's the name of my show. Podcast Working People that I started years ago when Meg and I were like broke grad students in Ann Arbor. No one was listening, but it was important. And I just want to stress that you can't do that work. You can't do the work that I do. You can't do the work that organizers do every day, talking to members and potential members around the country about their lives, their jobs, their dreams, their struggles, and not come to a few basic conclusions. The most immediate and obvious of which, if you actually listen, is that we are all living in an active corporate crime scene across this fucking country. The bastards are getting away with it. They are winning. And I hear it from workers everywhere. Everyone feels forgotten. Like, I want to just stress that because I know people here feel forgotten, and I promise you that your fellow workers out there, it's not that they don't care about you, it's that they feel forgotten too. And that makes us feel bitter, cold, abandoned, right? But we're all being abandoned by the same people, by our government, by the corporations, by the media, right? I started my show because I was a warehouse worker working 12, 13-hour days 12 years ago while we were in the midst of losing everything, including the house I grew up in. And I remember sitting on my couch with my dad after a 12-hour shift, watching the news talk about an economic recovery that was passing us by, and we felt forgotten. I talked to UAW members about their plants closing just down the road. I talked to folks in Lordstown in season 1 of my show. I remember when Trump came there and said, don't sell your homes, and then a year later, the plant still closed. They laid off 14,000 people. So my folks lost everything under a Democratic administration. People here are losing everything under a Republican, Democrat. We get the theme, right? But I talk to people who feel that forgotten everywhere. I talked to a father in Uvalde who is a fellow worker and union member. What they're going through is what you're going through. They were the story of the day one month. Everyone was promising change, never again, never again. He's out there camping in front of the police department now trying to get change. He feels as forgotten as you do, right? Like, we need to be a coalition of the forgotten and force power to never forget us again.
That's right.
Right? And so you can't do the work that I do and not come to that conclusion, right? You can't not talk to people who were on the deep water horizon when it blew, who were telling you BP sacrificed safety for profits, and now we're all paying for that. Who wants to get on a Boeing flight right now when they're sacrificing safety for profits? Who wants to live near a rail line right now when they're sacrificing our communities for profits? This is a sickness that is coming for all of us. If it hasn't come for you yet, or it may have and you don't know it, you may be bioaccumulating the crap that they're poisoning you with right now. We're all half plastic at this point anyway. So don't wait until the tumor grows, right? Like, we have to leave here and get people to understand that this is not going to go away unless we do something about it. Because that's the other conclusion that I come to doing the work that I do. I come to the conclusion that I think we've all come to here. That, as Thomas Paine, one of the great thinkers of this country, famously said, we have it within our power to make the world over again. We, the working people who built this country. We, the people who make this country great. Alan Shaw doesn't make shit great.
That's right.
You make this country great. We make this country great. Let's take it back. And we have the power to do that. You all do. So please, do not leave here without something to do. Do not leave here without at least one person in your mind that you're going to get involved in this fight. Because we need you. We need all of you. And it's not just going to end at getting the folks of East Palestine health care, because they need so much more than that, we know, but they need that now. But everyone around this country feels hopeless, feels like change is never going to come from the people we're expecting it to come from, our politicians, our business leaders. And what is inspiring about you guys, even amidst the horrifying circumstances that you were in, is that I hear from people around the country tell me they're just like me, and they are taking the future into their own hands. Right. And they made me realize that I am the hero I've been waiting for. Right. I am the change I've been waiting for. So I'll leave you with this. This is like that moment in the movie. This is Helm's Deep, right? This is when Gondor is calling for aid. Right. Everything feels lost. But you all lit the flame, and if some of us are here, now go light the flame somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Right? And because if we do this, if we pull this off, if we mobilize enough people and get Biden to enact the Stafford Act, and we make that immovable mountain shake just a little bit, imagine what that's going to do for everyone out there who feels hopeless. Right? So Gondor calls for aid. Answer that call. Go back to your communities. Tell them to answer that call, because it doesn't stop here. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
I am not going to follow Max. My name is Steve Mellon, for those of you who don't know. I'm a journalist at the Pittsburgh Union Progress now. The Union Progress is a strike paper. We had a booth up here earlier. Some of my colleagues were here. Unfortunately, they had to leave. They had young kids, they had to leave. There's some pamphlets over here. They're blue and white pamphlets over here. If you want to learn a little bit more about the strike. It's interesting to me that we're here talking about healthcare. I walked out after 25 years of working as a journalist at the Post-Gazette. I walked out in October of 2022, going on 18 months ago. What triggered that strike was that the owners of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, the newspaper I worked for, yanked the healthcare away from 4 unions. Four unions. That triggered the strike, right? We're here today asking for what? Healthcare. Healthcare.
Because it's a basic human right.
We live in the richest country in the world. I heard, Chris, I think you mentioned billionaires earlier.
Yeah.
I did some research. We have 758 billionaires in the United States. I have no idea how many billions they control. It's a lot more than we control. And I looked this up on the internet. So it's got to be true, right? Every year in the United States, 650,000 people file for bankruptcy because of medical debt.
Yeah.
That is more people than live in the city of Detroit. That is incredible, and it's heartbreaking. That's the common thread here. Is healthcare. You're right, Hillary. It's a human right. I don't want to keep you all very long here, but I just want to remind folks that we're going to leave here today, and we're going to go back to our homes, and we're going to lay our heads down on pillows that are safe, and homes that are safe. And if we have kids, we're going to trust that our kids are safe. But there are people who told their stories here today. They can't go home to homes that they know are safe. They're going to wake up tomorrow with the same questions they had yesterday and the day before. Am I living in a house that is poisoning my children, is poisoning me? If it's springtime, they come in and they go outside and they see some pollen or dust in the air. You see this all the time in spring. We don't have to worry about what's in that pollen or dust, do we? They're always going to have that concern here. We don't have the concern or the worry of having friends that we no longer talk to, lifelong friends that we no longer talk to. Because a derailment like this splits the town. Norfolk comes in and drops a toxic bomb in their backyard and then splits and leaves the town to deal with the stress and the pressure of that. You know what that happens? What that does to friendships, what it does to relationships, to marriages. We can go home and we don't have that stress. The people here in East Palestine will continue to have that stress.
No, wrong. Still conquer, divide.
That's what they want to do.
That's what they have done to the community.
That's what they done. So take that with you. When you go home, take that with you. Remember that the people here that are going to stay here, this should be a motivating factor for us. They continue to have to deal with these things. One thing I want to say to the folks here in East Palestine is your stories have power. Your stories have real power. The reason we're here today is because Steve heard Chris Albright's story on Max's Real Network. That's how this started. It started with a story. It started with Chris's story. So I'll leave you with that. I'm going to leave some cards up here. The strike paper is the Pittsburgh Union Progress. It's just unionprogress.com. I can't promise you we will be around forever. We are trying to resolve our strike. If our strike is resolved, the strike paper will go away. We will continue to cover, I will continue to cover this, no matter where I am. Pardon?
You have been a very important component to this committee, this campaign, and thank you so much for all that you have done.
Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it.
I just want to emphasize one last thing that Steve brought up. The way we lose is we're divided. The way we win is we're united. And they want to keep us divided. They want us, And by divided, I don't just mean pitted against each other politically. I mean they want us separated.
Yes.
And I want to tell you something, what we got here. We got something I ain't seen in 50 years. We got people here in one town that are the same families and the same brothers and sisters. They're the workers. They're in unions. They're dealing with an environment that is putrid. And they're dealing with a healthcare system that is bankrupt. And it's all the same people. They could put no walls in East Palestine. They can try to, but we ain't going to let them. And I'm asking people here, like, I'm telling you one thing, is I've been dealing with these rotten bastard corporations. I could go on for 5 hours about the battles we fought. And one thing they want is they want us to go away. That's their #1 goal, to make you shut up and go away. Well, I say, when you're dealing with a government and with a system and corporations that are as radical as these are, and when you screw people like East Palestine, and then you screw people like Palestine over there at the same time, they're pretty rotten people in my book. And when you're dealing with rotten people, you got to get militant. I mean, you have to stand up together and get militant. I'm going to tell you right now, we can issue all the resolutions and all the petitions we want, but if they don't read it and they don't see it, they don't give a damn. I think we take this fight to them. We take it to Norfolk Southern, we take it to Biden, we take it to our Congress people, and when we go back to our unions, and they ask us, what do you want? You know, I'm going to tell them, we want money for buses to put us on to go to our Congress people down in D.C. and Columbus or wherever they are and sit in their damn office till they give you people health care.
Hi everybody, my name's Mike Bolanek, working on a documentary about everything that's gone on here. Been here about 5 times over the last 5 months. Since we're talking about solutions here, I felt I had a little simple thing that I could offer up, a suggestion maybe. All of you have a video recording device in your pocket, and there is an incredibly useful tool out there called the internet. Every single one of us should be on our phones recording ourselves talking about this and getting the word out there, because ultimately, if we want to get to DC, I don't know where Mike went, but if we want to go to DC, we need the folks to go there, and we need to get as many people involved as possible. So get the word out there. The internet is literally one of the best ways we can do it. I know we get censored on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, but if we just keep pumping that stuff out there, people will see it. Even if only 5 or 6 people of your friends see it, their friends will see it, then their friends will see it, and so on and so forth. And then eventually, we'll have a critical mass in all of this. And it'll take a little while, but I'm confident we'll get there. And thank you very much.
Time's up. Probably got it. Okay, Chris. Okay, so
he's redacting that.
That's okay.
It should be working.
Okay. So let me just quickly go over the proposals. I don't have a written copy of them. One is that we get a website for this campaign, and we have all the videos and information from all organizations that are joining this fight together, because this is a coalition campaign, it's a network. 2 is that we organize another conference in the Midwest in Iowa, and the Iowa brothers and sisters are offering their center for a meeting. 3 is that we have an action in Washington D.C. at the Department of Transportation with railroad workers, with environmentalists, and with. Is this what you want? Yeah. I got it on my phone. Oh, great. Okay. So this is a resolution to make all victims eligible for federal government. Well, this whereas train derailment took place on February 23rd, whereas toxic materials. Let me just read the, therefore be it resolved, this union, organization, and individuals calling the EPA and President Biden to immediately sign legislation to make residents and workers eligible for mental and physical health care from the federal government, and we urge other organizations and people in the United States to demand that action take place. Okay, the other actions that we're talking about is having an action in Washington, D.C. at the Department of Transportation with the railroad worker unions, with environmentalists, and with communities that have been affected. Now, we have to reach out to other communities in this country. They're in the Bay Area. They're all over this country. And if we can build a unity with them, we have power.
Yeah.
What keeps these communities isolated, and the companies want this, is that they're by themselves fighting each individually. This is a collective problem. So we have to bring these communities with us to Washington, D.C. We also have to send a letter to Liz Schuler, head of the AFL-CIO. And we want to say we want a meeting with her. And we need to go there to the AFL-CIO, because the AFL-CIO in this election year, listen, if the AFL-CIO told Biden, declare an emergency, that's a demand of labor, he would do it. He says he's a union president, union supported president. The AFL-CIO, we have to make that an issue. To support the people of East Palestine, they need this mass casualty incident declaration immediately. So those are some of the things, the proposals that we are proposing, for action. And I think if we take them up, the other thing is there are going to be union conventions. The AFT is having a convention in July. There are going to be union conventions around these other countries. So we have to work to get this issue, this resolution, in every union convention in this country. Make it an issue. There's going to be a labor notes convention on April the 18th. We have a statement there to labor notes. There are going to be 4,000 or 5,000 trade unions from all over the United States and around the world. And they have the same problems in other places around the world. Toxins and bases, U.S. bases in Okinawa and around the world. I mean, they're facing it. So we go to that convention and get people to sign up for this action. And if we have this action in the convention, another conference in Iowa, and if we have this action in D.C., we can have something to say to people, this is what you can do. This is what you can organize for.
What's the target date for?
Well, that's up to discussion here.
No, I understand that, but
what's the proposed date? We're open here.
Well, you got, we want to do the Million Worker March in October, Labor Day in September, because it's going to take time to build this. But those are 2 dates. We could, the 20th anniversary Million Worker March, or we could use Labor Day.
Well, Labor Day, the Iowa brothers and sisters are having an event. You want to do it, the week before? Would that work? Or that would be, how about the week before Labor Day? And make it a Labor Day event. In other words, what we want to do is, this is every day is Labor Day for working people. We can say every day is Labor Day for working people, but we want to say, but getting health care for the people of East Palestine is workers' jobs in this country. So how about the week before Labor Day when we have this action? What?
In August.
In August. Too hot?
And it'll be harder.
Well,
I'd say propose September to build bases and get
okay, well, after Labor Day?
After Labor Day.
What day?
Well, October.
September.
Tied into the 20th anniversary.
Okay.
And do it in October.
When in October?
Whatever the Saturday is that's closest to October 17th.
Okay, let's see. We'll look here. Okay, that would be the 19th. The 19th, or
That's good, that's right before the election.
or the Friday the 18th.
No, the 19th.
You don't want to run
The
up
19th?
against presidential.
That keep people can travel there. And
Okay, so the 19th?
October the 19th.
Yeah, I think that's great. That
Okay,
gives
so
us
why don't we have this National Day of Action for East Palestine on October the 19th in Washington, D.C. What do people think about that?
It's cool enough to give us time to organize.
What I have is what I know in Iowa, we do a lot of labor to labor, so I'm wondering if that would hurt turnout right before the election.
That's what I was thinking, where labor.
Well, one of the things that we're talking about, this country right now, what the politicians say, it's a priority to send billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan. If it isn't a priority to help the people of East Palestine, what in the hell is going on in this country? So I think we have to make that a national issue. If we can't even take care of the people of East Palestine, how are we going to take care of anybody else? Although sending military weapons to this country is not taking care of it. So what do people think?
That's it.
October
I make a
19th?
motion, October the what?
19th.
19th. Is there a second to October the 19th?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's make it happen.
Okay, any opposed? What?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one concern is just that whether the labor staff, comrades on labor staff will be able to get to DC, or whether they'll be caught up in the kind of like...
Well, how about this? If you can't get to DC, you can have a demonstration at the federal courthouse.
I mean, I think maybe you're better...
Yeah, so in Iowa, I know, in Iowa, you know, we're a pretty small state, only 3 million people total in our state, you know, and the labor's much smaller. And I know that the lead up to the election, a lot of our labor cornerstones of the federations and military and stuff are focused on labor-to-labor contact to get out the vote. My only concern would be is that labor in these states that are focused on that voter turnout might prioritize that over a trip to Washington, and I would hate for that to hinder our potential turnout, it being so close to the election. I agree, we should put pressure before the election, but we have to have considerations about our members getting
My suggestion is this. I mean, I understand that. The SEIU is spending $200 million on this election. They don't have money for education.
But that was the argument the last time.
Okay, so my proposal is, we have it in Washington for those people who can go, and if you can't go, have it in your federal building, the day before on Friday. But what we got to do is make this a national issue. We have to make this a national issue, so everybody says, you get the damn health care. That's something you can do.
One other thing. I want to add one other thing to it too. Unfortunately, I can't have it before, but I'm going to have a big fundraiser October 25th in Pittsburgh for the East Palestine residents. But we really need to think now, not October, November. We need to set up a fund if it's not set up and start raising money for these people because they don't have anything for their health. Chris has nothing to pay for his 27 medications he has to have, and you multiply that by all the other citizens here. We need a fund set up now. And we need people to know about that. So when we send the video out and do our education work, people, when I took this to my Isaac Walton League Conservation Group down in Greene in Washington County, you know what they said? God, Mike, we can't make that trip, but tell us where we can send them some money. Wow. And people want to help, and we got to give them the ways to help.
Let's set up a fund.
So let me say this. None of these things are mutually exclusive. We could do them all.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We could build this. Ain't nobody gonna build the roof without building the basement. You know what I'm saying? So it's step, right? And we could do it all. So there's no conflict between putting that fund together, organizing for a rally in Washington, D.C., and mobilizing people to turn out to vote. Because you know what? We done voted for years. And we still don't have anything for East Palestine.
I think what we were thinking is like maybe a week or two earlier, so that the union focus isn't like the kind of top-down union focus isn't totally on election. Like so, like we would say, I think maybe like at the very end of September rather than in October.
Right. So what? The 12th. We could do the end of October.
Or end of September, they're saying.
The end of September.
I think the election should be used as leverage, but I'm not suggesting we postpone.
Well, how about October the 5th?
How about October the 5th?
It's October the 5th.
How about October the 5th? October the 5th.
30-day window for the focus.
October the 5th.
Okay.
Labor stuff. When are all hands on deck?
Yeah, you're talking about later.
Well, that's a month before the elections, October the 5th.
October the 5th.
Okay, so October the 5th, is that agreeable? October the 5th?
October the 5th.
First? Second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor.
All in favor? Okay, all opposed? Okay, we got it.